The pandemic is a pain in the neck, literally. Chiropractors across the country are seeing an uptick in business because of all the stress-related pain and aches. That's next on The Jeff Crilley Show.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home. We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network. We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is The Jeff Crilley Show. If you have aches and pains, they only get worse when you're under stress. Anyone who's been dealing with chronic pain knows that to be true. To talk about that today, Dr. Mathew Gutierrez, he is with the Whole Health Partners. Thank you for coming on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Now, you're a well-known chiropractor here in town, and you treat a wide range of ailments. You just told me before we went on the air that you're seeing more these days. What do you attribute that to?
I just more and more people now, working from home, sitting more. What I've heard from patients directly is that when they're at home, they're not getting up more. They're not having to go to the printer, to the fax machine as much. Now they're trying to jet through the whole day so they can finish early a lot of times. And then what's going on? They're sitting 4, 5, 6 hours straight without even going to the restroom, and then that can do a ton of damage. Coming from my standpoint, I can tell you that's a lot of damage, a lot of stress on the spine. Just sitting that many hours.
Yeah. What about, we were talking in the past about frozen shoulder. Explain what frozen shoulder is.
So frozen shoulder, it's kind of an enigma. If you read about it or even ask other doctors, a lot of times they'll say there's no known cause, but based on symptoms, what it is, it's excruciating pain in the neck or the shoulder, shooting all the way down to the hand. There's rarely any structural damage to the shoulder, but the patient acts as if there is. They can't lift it very high. They can't move behind the back. It's very hard to sleep at night. There's a higher prevalence in patients that are female, above 40, diabetes, things like that. But overall, you really can't predict, who it's going to affect, and it's about 2% of the population is affected.
And you were telling me off camera that 1 out of 5 patients is coming in for frozen shoulder?
Yeah, so we see a ton of frozen shoulder patients. Just online, they'll find us and they'll see that we specialize in it. We have great results. Honestly, I don't think if you look at any other doctor or practitioner that has any more or more testimonials than we do. If you go on our page, wholehealthpartners.com, we have a page dedicated to just testimonials, and there's over 30 there just from patients letting us to record them, and we see tons more.
Yes, and I know you guys were featured prominently in a movie documentary called Doctored a few years ago. We've got a little clip from that. We're going to roll it right now.
One of the issues that I'm having, other than getting out of bed and changing my clothes, is that if I want to move around the house and put on a light, like in this case, if I were to put on this light switch, I have to go like this, and it's paining, but I'll be able to move it once I get there, and then I'll have to assist my hand to bring it back down. On October of 2009, I was in the process of going downtown to come back up and take my daughter to lunch, and it was raining terribly hard, and I hit the hydroplane, and by doing so, my car shifted to the center of the meridian and flipped about 5 times, and they found me in the back seat. My neck was broken, face was fractured. Apparently, I was in a coma for 4 weeks. As a result of that, I end up with rotary cuff damages on both hands, where I couldn't use my hand to a full extent.
You were diagnosed with a frozen shoulder.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you were unable to bring your arm up.
Absolutely.
You had lost a lot of the function of your shoulder. Frozen shoulder is a puzzling condition. People between the ages of 40 and 70 get it. Its path is idiopathic, which means they don't know what causes it. It comes on mysteriously. The patient is unable to bring their arm up alongside their head. They only have about 90 to 120 degrees of what we call abduction. And almost every frozen shoulder patient complains of not being able to sleep. All right, so slowly, let's go ahead and abduct the arms, bring them up over your head.
I haven't slept in a month, to be honest with you. I roll quite a bit. I toss back and forth. I wake up about every hour and a half to 2 hours.
So bringing it up alongside your ear is very difficult.
It's not going to go.
The condition's been in the literature for about 200 years, and nobody's ever been able to figure out what exactly it is and what causes it.
I've took therapy for about 3 months, and it didn't really actually help.
They do physical therapy that makes them worse, that makes them hurt more and sleep less. Also, a lot of patients get the injection, which is ineffective most of the time. It keeps getting done, but it's not fixing the problem. And I thought to myself, well, it may be a weakening or a malfunction of the spinal accessory nerve. And now I have this paradigm that I built in my head that the skull and the spine support a part of the nervous system that runs the shoulder.
When he saw me for the first time, he said, "You have a frozen shoulder, I can tell you, your head's crooked." I'm like, "Really?" I didn't know who this man was. And he said, "Show me."
I postulated that, okay, if her skull somehow wasn't functioning on her first cervical vertebra, that possibly could cause some kind of malfunction in the spinal accessory nerve. And if I could reduce that or fix that or get that positioning right again for her, possibly it would affect that nerve and she would get her arm function back. I stopped, I looked at her and I said, what I thought I would feel, I feel. And now I want to go ahead and reduce this. She says, go for it.
I'd never been to a chiropractor before. I didn't know what to expect. It was something foreign to me. But I trusted him, and I'm so glad I did.
And go ahead and bring the arms up, see if they'll come all the way up.
You got to be kidding me.
Yeah, I'm not kidding. This thing that had been around for so long that people knew nothing about was being resolved with this chiropractic adjustment.
People need to know about this. They really do. It's so simple and so non-invasive. It needs to be out there.
Wow, that is so impressive. It's got to be very rewarding for you to see somebody get their mobility back.
Oh yeah, especially when you see patients, just like they had mentioned, that they're not sleeping at night. So it's going to affect much more than just their shoulder. I mean, it's going to affect their health overall. Time and time again, when patients get that mobility back, the first thing they say is, "You've given me my life back." And
yes.
Tears. I mean, it's just almost every single time.
We've got a little bit of video of you working with a patient. We're going to roll that so you can kind of comment on what we're looking at. This particular patient, you can see she has very little mobility in one shoulder.
Absolutely. So I believe she had gone to her primary care. I mean, a lot of times they're going to get sent home. They're going to say, their primary care physician is going to say, it's frozen shoulder. What you got to do is just wait. And your prognosis is 2.5 years. It's going to fix on its own. And I mean, that's not the case. If you know what you're looking for, if you know how to treat it, you're going to see results just like this.
That's so impressive. And other physicians are learning from you guys, right? You guys are teaching this technique.
So Dr. Francis Murphy, who you've seen in the video also, who's my mentor, that's primarily what he does now, is he has his seminars, OTZ, the OTZ technique, where he teaches other doctors how to treat this condition and how to resolve it.
We're almost out of time, so if somebody's watching this right now and they're dealing with some kind of illness, some kind of pain, if they're just taking opioids or masking the pain, they can make things worse, can't they?
Absolutely. I mean, and a lot of times patients don't realize that it not only can it lead to addiction, but it does a lot in terms of damage to your stomach, your kidneys, your liver, especially when it becomes a habit. I mean, when this is years and years and years of usage.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gutierrez. We're going to put your website up so people can get in touch. It's wholehealthpartners.com, the website. Thanks again for your time.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I appreciate you. And that's it for now. We'll see you next time.